to another episode of F-Zero Ending It All. Last time, Rick Wheeler has actually mastered the booster fire and has managed to beat Captain Falcon while using it as in his very own simulation of Port Town. And meanwhile, Leon has actually dated Lucy, and Beastman has actually managed to capture Biorex and take him to justice. And as you may notice, it's kind of different from the anime because the members of Dark Million, they're actually dwindling in numbers, which is a very good thing. And so, we finally made our way to the quarterfinals of the Cosmo Terminal. And the song is meh. Never actually did it personally in the Diamond Cup. And like I said, I highly recommend Ephraim's LP of this. So, let's get this started. Alright, lap 12. And, as a little note, this is actually one of my good friends, Berrywatterson's favorite chapter. We'll see why soon enough. So, Berry, this one's for you. After a week of vigorous training, both Rick and Falcon entered together at the Cosmo Terminal Trident. From the registration, Miss Killer was there along with EAD and Chris. Also, a mysterious machine that looked sleek with a red and yellow design and a 01 numeral entered the fray. The detective looked at each of his opponents with caution. The other machine, the Crushing Quasar, looked very similar to the Great Star, only having a black look with multiple white specks on its body. Clank went over the altered stats on the contraption. The Quasar had the grades BAD instead of the usual EAD, making its body strength very lethal. In fact, he could have sworn it was similar to the Black Bull. So that's what Black Shadow did to EAD's vehicle. Just like the Dark Star Dragon. Oh, Falcon! We need to prepare for the race. Do not let your training be in vain. It's known to be one of the most difficult due to the lack of guardrails. There are also multiple lanes which would give our enemies a chance to pass us, if not destroy us. We mustn't fall off, and it's vital to stay alert at all times, no matter what happens. The F-Zero Committee didn't put this on the legendary Diamond Cup for nothing. This mechanical course surrounded by high-tech elevators which tie to the abyss. This considers a new method of transportation when it substituted the track elevator. Construction had reached a height of almost 50,000 miles, but because the budget was skyrocketing, the building process had it very rough. As such, the F-Zero Execution Project created this particular circuit inside the elevator itself. Rick hadn't been in this much awe since he was in Rothbliss. The tracks were getting more serious and technologically advanced than the last. They're getting really tumultuous now. No doubt. I suppose you won't need a helping hand? No, we're fine. This course isn't for the young at heart, and Kate! Rick was astonished to see her here. She made her usual pose behind the duo. They never even noticed her being in the rostrum, not even the Super Piranha. What are you doing here? Big smile, she explained. Why do you think, Rick? I'm here because I've heard that EAD is participating. I'd rather give up 1,000 concerts to see him. Besides, I owe him that much after he saved my life and for visiting most of my gigs. Is that Captain Falcon? The very same. We can't let Dark Million prevail, especially since they have the task force under their wing. Your friends are a part of this? Even EAD? Yes, Kate. He, Jody, Tanaka, and the doctor are still brainwashed by Black Shadow. Tinsel and her friends were able to save the lot of us. Rick. Kate, are you sure you still want to race with us? She did have a lot of courage and a strong reason for showing up at the last minute. I will, for the fate of EAD. I'm sure my Super Piranha would do well since it has the same stats as the legendary Blue Falcon. That made the bounty hunter blush a little. All right, Rick, I'll do it. I know you two will look out for me. That's our job, Kate. We always will. Putting her mind at ease, Kate Allen would have to enroll since the AD was a valuable friend to her, if not the only one. I hoped the booster fire would pay off. Then there was the signal, and the exhilarating competition began as each pilot put their pedals to the metal. There were 3 pathways, and they overlapped a lot on this course. They always went up and down and around the center path, which was a safe haven along with numerous dash plates and pit areas across the track. There was also a long jump, and pilots could see the enormous elevator in the distance operating to the right. This was built for true elites, something that literally separated the men from the boys, as several of the competitors were falling off left to right. It was mostly either due to accidentally falling off or just constantly shifting from path to path. EAD never seemed to have a problem with it, as Lucy had predicted. Only 7 cars were remaining by the final lap as they kept their cool and focused entirely on survival of the fittest. At one time, Rick was unfortunate, ending up the same lane as Miss Killer when she approached him. "Rick, Luna Ryder is on you! Be careful!" She managed to push him off course, but luckily he was saved by an oncoming path beneath him. Out of nowhere, the Deep Claw boosted into Miss Killer and distracted her by an endless barrage of bashing, till Rick was lagging behind. "Octoman, you sly devil! I think I'll keep you occupied for a while, Miss Killer," he continued on his annoyance. "Keep me occupied? Why? Don't tell me you've turned traitor and decided to help them, did you?" "Hell has no fury for you, Luna. That is what I'm doing, and I'm only helping out to return a favor to a special friend." She automatically figured it out as quick as altering from road to road. "Tinsel, she convinced you to disobey orders and run away like a foolish coward." "I'm not running away, am I? Not any more. I have my home planet and my family to save. What would Doc Million do for the likes of me?" Obviously, this was the first and only chance to redeem himself. Maybe then the Federation would get off his 6. They were at a tagging match. In a desperate attempt to catch up while his lethal enemy was busy, Rick did the incredible stunt once more. "It's go time. Booster fire!" He remembered the warning from Falcon and watching his acceleration timing. He caught up to the crushing quasar, and Falcon never made a move. But someone else did. Luna made a quick glance, then the sinister move. "Moon fire!" The moon's shadow was engulfed in flames as dark as fuchsia could get. Octoman was lucky he was behind her as she cruised past him in an instant. Past him. She was heading directly toward her target, the dragon bird. Through the rapid spinning vortex, Rick saw another cyclone in a violet hue head straight for him. "No way!" Alarmed and nearly petrified, he saw the death trap speed up. "How is this possible?" "Rick, Rick, you must watch out. Focus on surviving the race. I warned you someone other than Black Shadow is likely to use it." "This can't be." "Hurry! Evacuate to the other lane." He did just that before Luna Ryder made her mark on him. His machine almost lost its balance, and the 2 volatiles ended. "Looks like I've met your match, Rick. Because of your treachery, you will perish. Miss Killer, I owe it all to you, my love, as does Mr. B.A.D. On the 3rd separate lane, not much was seen through the black-tinted windows, except his body giving out a shocking light blue tinge. He still had the wide load appearance, only he was completely shrouded in darkness. There were also some creepy outlines of turquoise surrounding him, and they were pulsating like veins. A sharp-pointed S-shape replaced the star in his belt. It almost looked as if he was glowing that same eerie light. Even his eyes replicated that aura. He had on such a sinister expression that he was sneering with his razor teeth always grinding. because of BAD's programming on destroying all the pilots, including ones in the task force. His recklessness caused him and the quasar to fall off. No! EAD! Kate saw the fiasco just a few feet behind. She hardly observed it was caught by something after it fell for several miles. Falcon noticed the rash robot, so he immediately punched around the dashboard and had him be saved by the Falcon flyer. The maw opened as it brought in the crushing quasar, almost looked as if it ate it. Deep Claw cut up to Miss Killer with a sudden nudge after he switched lanes. The mistress nearly fell, putting Rick in a state of panic. Haruka! Rick, concentrate! You got the home stretch ahead of you. Only worry about the race. Falcon, I can't let her die like this. Then, do you want to take your place instead? That shut his mouth by force. Do not fret. We're at the finish line now. Although, thanks to Octagon's sudden support, Captain Falcon won first, while the Dragon Bird went in second and the Gazelle was in third. The audience roared wild with a standing ovation. I can hardly put this mind-blowing victory into words. The top 5 have achieved the quarterfinals. Captain Falcon takes the lead with Rick Wheeler and the Mighty Gazelle very close. The Moon Shadow and Hyperspeeder barely qualified. What a rush! Mighty Gazelle? Who is he? Never heard such a competitor this generic before. He was taken aback by the unusual title, but it wasn't long until Falcon explained once the aggressive race ended. What do you know of him? He's one of the bravest and the most unique racers in the circuit. The Mighty Gazelle was named Roy Hughes, and he used to be human. He was the late father of Clank. He once worked with the Galaxy Police. He was very exceptional in this field. He was also into F-Zero racing after being intrigued from the video games he purchased for his kid. He had most of his body replaced after the horrific accident. Like Jody, he was half human, half cyborg. During his hospitalization, his wife was incredibly terrified from what he became, as there was hardly any of him left. Because of the divorce and the fact he couldn't visit to see his son anymore, his life was nearly meaningless until the X Grand Prix was close at hand. Mighty Gazelle was no longer afraid on taking chances on the track. Not even another severe crash would stop him. He soon met Jody's long-lost brother, Andy Summer. Should be Summer, actually. Since then, they became close partners until his death during a shootout against Zoda. Then there was his own demise at Planet Forno in an infiltration of a space pirate transport run by that same maniacal monster. If you guys remember the anime, you should know this. I'll show it to you later. I'll probably show it to you in the next lap. Hopefully it works. Falcon heard some rumors circling around about Roy's condition. Only his cerebellum was the one thing that remained intact. He became a full-fledged robot for life and has been attempting to stay mobile and active during the F-Zero competitions, rather than resort to working at the Galactic Federation. Thus, this was when he earned the nickname the Mighty Gazelle. Little did Roy know that his son was involved in the war against Dark Million. Rick was fascinated from the intel he attained all those years ago. He hoped that Clank would find the answers eventually and realize that his father is still alive, albeit not having the same appearance and motor skills. He then gazed upon his machine, the Red Gazelle. It was presumed that it looked similar to a wild gazelle leaping through the savannah. The body was definitely on the weak side, but it was no issue for him, as he's always risky. It did make up for in spades with its incredible speed and average handling. Falcon mentioned he may want to take on disaster rescue one day because of his unwavering heroism and courage. Falcon! What was that thing that caught EAD? It's my starship, the Falcon Flyer. It's a spacecraft designed for interplanetary travel. I just remotely summoned it to catch the machine he was in. He should be safe, but also shut down. From the impact, he may be unconscious right now. Falcon, please. I have to see EAD to make sure he's alright. I'll go with you. Can it hold more than 2 machines and passengers? Of course. Follow me. What about the Gazelle? We'll worry about him later. We could always contact him through the Federation. Meanwhile, the appliance saw the group leave as he listened in on their predicament. At first, he just saw Dark Million's minions. The Black Shadow was just mere opponents. However, since he heard they're up to no good, he'll do whatever it takes to protect Clank. Inside the control chamber, Falcon led Rick, Kate, and Chris back to Earth. With the current threshold of the thrusters, they could make it within less than an hour. While she was watching over him, she became more anxious as she saw the comatose android still trapped inside the quasar. He abruptly came to, but he was not himself. His eyes ignited with that fiery turquoise color again, and he burst out of the machine, putting the black vocalist in a state of terror. Hearing the scream, Rick, Beastman, and Falcon stormed to her side as he was climbing out. The syringe! We need the syringe! Falcon ran to get the formula from the Dragonbird's glove compartment after he tossed him the key. What the terrified pilots never knew was that Mr. BAD had an arm cannon in his right limb. It made a sound as the beam was charging up. He aimed the weapon straight to Kate, but Rick tackled her out of the way just before he made a clear shot. He immediately took out his ray gun and the bullet ricocheted off his bulky figure. Fixed his eyes upon the nimble detective as he dodged every one of his attacks. The bullet holes left some type of little blue flame which dissipated after a couple seconds. EAD! What the hell are you doing? Trying to talk some sense into the berserk bot. There was no response. Instead, he kept it at his assault. Phaser charged again and someone took the blow. Falcon! The wound pierced his left leg. Luckily, the small flame was put out after he knelt in pain. No, you won't finish him off, EAD! Not unless you go through me! He braced himself for the worst. Kate was still dead in her tracks. Then the cyborg was able to hold him back. It was the Mighty Gazelle! He lifted him up with all the strength he could muster. EAD kept wriggling from his firm hold until he threw him clear across the room. EAD's phazon-like exterior hit the wall. Sparks flew from him, and down he went like a ton of bricks. Gazelle! You should be safe now, Rick Wheeler. You should be safe now, Rick Wheeler. You too, Falcon. Thanks. We appreciate that. Oh. But EAD... His memory chip has been corrupted by Black Shadow. Codes need to be cleansed. But that erase his memory? It may be possible. The Emperor of Brutality has done quite a doozy on him. Rick! Take this. He gave him the syringe with the sharp needle protected as well as the key to the Dragonbird. You know what to do. I know, but I think I'll leave it up to Rodney on this one. With the tainted data still inside him, the doc was EAD's only hope to restore his normal self. Full of doubt and uncertainty, Tinsel called Rodney, saying they'll stop by the hospital as soon as possible. From the urgency in her voice, he knew it was an emergency. They showed up about 10 minutes later, and Rick was by his side when they arrived next to the dormant android. Falcon was recovering in Port Town. Beastman decided to wait it out with the other pilots somewhere distant. The attack in the Falcon flare really scarred him, since this wasn't the norm with a feral animal. Rodney, I can't be sure about this. Can the formula really work, even if it's someone who isn't human? He had nothing but a blank stare. It boggled his mind as well, but he was hopeful. My dad made this for a reason. I strongly believe it can work on anyone, human or not. Besides, don't androids have some organic qualities? They aren't just sheer machines, you know. This may be too easy, but it's worth a try. I suggest we should use it. Even she'd be willing to use anything to save the one she truly cared about. The young physician did his business and was giving him an MRI. She-Rig and Tinsel made some space as he proceeded with the syringe afterwards. Inserted directly behind his neck, connected into her brain. All they did was wait in silence. They heard some footsteps from behind. It was only Gazelle, Clank, Jack, and Lucy. They've all knelt by the stretcher, just wishing their friend would wake up as his old self again. Kate held his drooping hand in a tight grip and was close to crying as she recalled the last time she lost him, when he sacrificed his own life to save her from Zoda and the Death Anchor, before he was painstakingly reconstructed from the late Dr. Clash. While the guys were waiting for EAD to reboot properly, Gazelle looked at Clank for a few minutes, then walked away. After a brief period, he followed the strange robot to another corridor. Hey, do you need something? Analyzed the neck piece, Tech 4. Felt a buzz in his head as another memory came to him. Clank Hughes. He looked up at him with his face full of doubt. Yeah? How do you know my name? I know you were good around kids, but... Hey, what are you doing with that? He took it off and scanned the moving pic in it. He stared at the scene where Clank and Roy were running together happily. Gazelle? The onlookers would know how somber he was. I am your father, Roy Hughes. I've waited a long time to see you again. How can you be my father? You're just a robot! That statement shocked his circuits. He didn't know what to say since Clank uttered the same thing his wife shouted before she abandoned him. It's true, Clank. The Mighty Gazelle is Roy. Rick, I can't believe it. How do you know that? Why does he have my locket? Allow me to explain. He reiterated everything he was told, from the accident to the limb replacements to his death at the space hangar. Falcon told me he's your dad. He knew him personally before he changed completely. Only his brain survived. That was how he recognized you. He really isn't dead, Clank. He was reconstructed. Go to him. I'll be right behind you. Clank stopped closer slowly to the cyborg as he climbed into the cockpit. He was about to leave until... Are you my father? Moments stretched onward until he made the confirmation. Needless to say, there was a tearful reunion. He remembered the warm embrace he adored so long ago. That alone was the key that he knew his father was present in his life, and he'd no longer be considered an orphan. The last thing Clank wanted was to be taken away to that accursed orphanage at Forno, where he was treated badly by the other children. Rick couldn't be more happier as he sighed. Together at last. I wish Haruka and I would do the same. Then an idea struck him like a lightning bolt. What if? Rick! It's EAD! He's coming around! He opened his eyes and they were in their normal opaque hues, and his eyes and brows were squinty. He rose up immediately and took a quick survey. Where is this place? EAD! Oh, it's you, Kate. Welcome back, partner. Great to have you here, at last. You literally gave us quite a shock there, mate. We were worried sick about you. Is everything functioning okay? I think so. But where are we? My memory banks can't recall this place. You're at my hospital, Mr. EAD. I just did some tests on you earlier. You seem to be fine now. I don't remember you. Are you a younger version of Dr. Stewart? Actually, no. He's Robert's son, Dr. Rodney Stewart. He was the one that applied the syringe to you to clean the vial Black Shadow left. Black Shadow? I was with Black Shadow and Dark Million? We all were EAD. Me, Rick, Jack, and Dr. Clash, who... We still need to save Jody, Tanaka, and even my dad from those evil doers. The task force has been brainwashed, just like you were. How unfortunate. EAD, I know this is a lot for you to process, but we're here, and we'll do whatever we can to fix everything. You won't have to be ashamed. We still need you. I need you by my side. Sure, Kate. Hard to believe that an android would be capable of functioning as a mere machine, yet still possess traits and emotions from that of a human. He was the most unique friend and recruit the Galaxy Police had ever concocted. Maybe we should, good idea. Hey, I want to see what's going on. Come on, Jack. Ow, ow, ow! I'll keep an eye on things from here. I'm sure EAD will be in good hands with Miss Allen. You're the man, Doc. Just remember to keep the formula safe at all times. I'm afraid that my dad would find out soon. I'm not sure what I should do when the time comes. Don't sweat it. We got your back. I'm counting on all of you, especially you and Tinsel. We'll do our best, even in the last 2 races. Good luck, everyone. He hesitated and remained silent. Does love really rule the universe? Which, if you remember the song from the English dubs, which is pretty good. Wish I had a full version. Let's hope it does. I can't let the galaxy be shrouded in darkness. Fist clenched in anxiety. I just can't. How much more punishment do we have to endure before Black Shadow is stopped for good? Or when we get all of our friends back? Damn errors. She didn't even notice Rick calling her. Tinsel, are you coming? Oh, yeah, I'm coming. Are you alright? Is something wrong? No, nothing's wrong. Tinsel marched on without looking at him. He knew in his heart there was some negativity building inside her. He began to get very concerned. There's only 3 more pilots to go, and both he and she knew they'd be the toughest of all. She was very anxious and paranoid about the situation. Lucy told everyone via communicator for the Falcon flyer earlier that the pilots in the top 5 had made it to the semifinals. Those being the Blue Falcon, the Dragon Bird, the Red Gazelle, Hyperspeeder, and Moon Shadow. Deep Claw, Great Star, Elegance, Liberty, Mad Wolf, and other anonymous machines were disqualified, but she didn't mind the rejection. She said she was better off staying at base. Later on, the team noticed the Mighty Gazelle would be more than willing to join them. Much like how Rick presumed he was Ben Clash's replacement as a mechanic for the task force. He was able to make some repairs on EED and convert the parts from the Big Fang to other crafts, making them more durable for the next few races ahead. There were only a couple courses to go. Everyone was getting closer to the elimination round. The next challenge would be at one of the most fatal courses yet, Deathwind, and the Wonder Wasp would be there. Some of Tinsel's friends understood her worry spot on. She told them once about Pico after he set a foil trap to Tanaka, and when she and Rick failed to catch him. Zoda stole some of the data chips, and he was on his way to Kate's concert in a Port Town cruise. During that time, Tinsel explained that Pico was not only a talented assassin, like Stewart said, but also an aggressive F-Zero pilot who drove the Wild Goose. In addition, the semifinals would be at Tortoise 3, the place that's rumored to be the birthplace of that lean green killing machine, as she once called him. With Tanaka, Stewart, and Jody left, there was definitely no fooling around. She almost had an inclination that Tanaka may be the strategist and is planning to show up along with the rest of the crew on that particular course. Because of the constant tension, Rick had decided to train with Falcon one last time as soon as the hero recovers, before the Deathwind contest would take place within a couple days. Grand Prix was almost over. But what would it mean for Dark Million and the remaining task force members that are still imprisoned? So, yeah, you'll find out about Roy Hughes soon enough. I'll just present that clip in another chapter. Crushing Quasar was inspiration from Final Fantasy VI, particularly the hacked version, the Eternal Crystals. Jeez. It was also introduced in Bowser's Inside Story. Dark Star wouldn't work. So I was thinking about the lines of a black hole of sorts, thus the name came to be. Of course, the stats were arranged to symbolize, well, bad. Similar to the Hellhawk. Not really huge from the Prime series, but Dark Samus was a good look for EED. And, much like Mario, I didn't want to go with the Wario approach since he wasn't very intimidating. So I went with the corrupting Phazon embodiment. Know the Gazelle sacrificed herself for Clank in the anime. He was part of Dark Million before that. The idea was taken out. Still don't understand how Stuart was able to restore Roy's human body after 6 years. Still, I'm going to go with the portrayal of the Gazelle from GX, and he also sounds like him from that game as well. There's still some intel about Roy Hughes, but as far as the cyborg goes, I'll use the intel from the games. 3 diamond courses are featured in this story, aside from the fact I'd never experienced them personally? That's a stretch. So the semifinals are coming up much like this lap. The next one's going to take a lot of work. Sure about my blah blah blah. Deathwind. While going against notable opponents like Pico and Tanaka. So there you have it. Lap 12 is actually done, and it's actually one of Berrywatterson's favorite chapters because of Kate and EAD. So next time will take place in the semifinals, eventually with Deathwind. So, this is the Ecron Rider signing out.